I'm a little late. I was chasing my bulldog around the house. If I don't put him away, you will hear him breathing, shuffling, interrupting. It's not his. I'm also out of breath. Oh. Okay, let's see. Well, okay, ST. I keep seeing your invite flash and I keep saying accept. So I don't know what's going on. Okay. Stop moving. Okay, ST. I just sent you an invite.
Did it work?
Hello, it did.
All right.
Okay. Oh, your camera is so tilted. I don't know what my deal is. Okay, so welcome to Let's Go Live. I'm Gigi Meyer, and I have with me multiple subgenre romance author, ST Fernandez. Welcome, ST.
Hi.
Okay, am I calling you ST the whole interview, or
No, it's Stephanie is my first name, but you can call me Steffi, Stephanie. I have been called worse, so it's all good.
Oh my gosh, you have all sorts of fun nicknames. Well, thank you for jumping on, and thank you for
Of course.
rescheduling. So I was looking forward to this last month, but we had some sadness. So anyway, we won't get into that. But I'm very,
Yeah.
very glad to have you back, or have you on for the first time.
Of course. Thank you so much for having me.
Okay, this is going to be a fun hour, I promise. So tell me, I have a million questions. So right out from the top, tell me what a multiple subgenre author is.
So it's actually multi-genre. I don't know why I typed up subgenre, so that's my apologies on that note. But that's just I like to call that my curse. Like I have a curse. Like I make these like little fun mistakes. It's lots of fun, especially like when you're sending your book out to ARC teams and stuff. Anyhow,
Stephanie, that's what editors are for. We write this stuff, but we're not editing it.
it's lots of fun. But it's a multi-genre. So I started in historical because the Legend of Gasparilla had been in my head for the longest time, since I was in college at St. Leo University, and I wanted to bring that story to life. So I was like, that'll be where I start. But I'm such a lover of fantasy and paranormal, and I pretty much read everything monster, dark. I love me some dark. I love me some dark. So my reading is like, quite frankly, like all over the place. And that's why I say, like, I don't know where I'm gonna write next. But I do know that I'm going to be all over the place. This one that I'm writing now or completing now, my God, is fantasy romance, romantasy, and it's we're going fae bae. So
like high romance. I mean high fantasy.
yes, yeah. That it has been a really interesting year of world building and writing and compiling and all the things. So yeah, it's been really cool to to get all of that together.
If it ain't fae, it ain't bae. Okay, so let's start. There's so much to unpack. So let's start with your historical romance. That was your debut.
It was my debut.
Okay, so tell us again.
I'm sorry, what was
Tell us the title again.
Right on. So the title is The Legend of Gasparilla, Gasparilla, a historical pirate romance. And it's about Jose Gaspar,
Mm-hmm.
a pirate who is a legend in the town of Tampa Bay. There's a huge pirate festival. It's kind of like Mardi Gras.
Well, isn't that
And
the pirate flag? On my sister-in-law is they're all from Tampa Bay, huge, huge, right? Generational, and they
it's a
fly those.
big deal.
Yeah, they fly those pirate flags. Is that where it originated from? They're everywhere.
Yeah, it sure did. Yeah, it originated, believe it or not, there was a railway called, I think it's C&N Railway. There was a pamphlet at the beginning of my book that kind of mimics the original pamphlet that could be found in the Boca Grande Historical Society. And you know, it's an actual pamphlet that they put on the railway where they introduced the pirate Jose Gaspar. And so it just went from there. And then the town, you know, took it from this small, you know, idea in a pamphlet, you know, to a big pirate fest where every year, you know, you have, you know, all these pirates coming in and invading the Tampa Bay, and there's beads and floats and drinks. And
isn't it like a weekend festival? Like it lasts multiple days. It's a huge deal from what I've seen the pictures.
Yep, it does. Yeah, it's pretty interesting. You know, it does last quite a long time, but yeah, it's pretty fun. You know, I really, you know, I jotted down my notes when I was in college, and I like was like, okay, this is my idea. I'm kind of mapping it out, and as I grew into a romance reader, then I started thinking to myself, well, why am I gonna? Because I was originally gonna make this historical fiction, but I'm reading romance like a fiend. So it didn't make sense to me to, like, you know, not be true to what I love to read. I'm like, this doesn't make sense. The original story is not a romance at all. It's actually like he's kind of a little bit of a misogynistic kind of, you know, I don't know. He's just bad news. I was like, all right, you can take all that.
There's a spot for those in romance too.
That's true. You're not wrong. You're not wrong.
If you're that way in person, we'll stab you. Okay, we'll then stand over you. But we'll read that in romance, but in real life, don't you dare try it.
Okay, well, you have a point.
Okay,
so
I have to ask you a question. Are you from Tampa Bay or went to like school around there? That's how the genesis of this idea came about?
So I was born and raised in Orlando, Florida. So I'm a Florida brat through and through. Like I live in California now, because, you know, 0% humidity. Except of course today because my hair is like all kinds of frizzy, but it's all good. We are making it work. But so I was born in Orlando, and I went to college at St. Leo University, go Lions. And it's about 20 minutes outside of Tampa, Florida. So, I mean, really there at the time that I went to school there, now I'm dating myself, so I'll leave it at that. There wasn't a lot going on around. And so we used to venture off to Tampa to go be normal college kids and party our face off.
Yeah.
So, you know, that was us and our typical MO. But yeah, no, I fell in love with the story. I went to the Pirate Fest, and I was like, these people can get down, and I want to know what it is about this story, and you know what it's about. And so I did my research in there, and from there the idea flew.
Yeah, it's like their Mardi Gras.
Yes. Yeah. It is. Yeah. It's really interesting, but yeah.
It's really fun from what I understand and what I see in the pictures, and I have an open invitation to go with my sister-in-law and her family because they're all there. They're huge criminal defense attorneys there.
Oh,
so
cool.
she's like, yeah, she's like, you can have fun, and then if you get arrested, we'll get you out. I'm like,
You know,
I
That
feel
is
like that's
a
a whole package
win-win.
deal.
That's a win-win for sure. Oh, goodness.
So how long, so that book, how long did it take you originally? And then it sounds as though you rewrote it from a historical fiction into the product it is today, a historical romance.
I honestly, I'm a late bloomer. It, I did not have the courage to go for it early on in life. I was just like, I'm not doing this. Like, there's no way. Like, I talked about it for a long time. I think a lot of people who know me very well have said to me recently, like, "Oh, you've been talking about this for a while." And I'm like, I have, haven't I? Um,
You're like,
and then I just,
hush
Mhm.
it, I'll get around to it.
Yeah, right, exactly. And I was just like, okay, so I'm just going to do it. And so, I was at a point in time in my life where I just was like, I'm going full steam ahead. And the idea of it and the notes and everything like were there. I actually started writing the book that I'm writing now in a different context. It was terrible. It was my very first book that I put down on paper, and I was like, ew, total rewrite, put that down. And so um, I actually decided to write this one first, the Legend of Gasparilla. And so then, maybe 3-4 years ago, I started writing it, and then I just completed it, and I was like, all right, well, we're doing this. So that's how it came into fruition. And I'm kind of excited that it turned out the way that it did, and that so many people loved it. So many people loved it. And again, like I live by my motto, like I tell you, you can't please everyone. You're not a taco. So,
I know. That was such a cute quote that you sent me.
that's my motto, like my author motto, because I know like not everyone's gonna feel it, and that's just the way that it works. But it is near and dear to me because, of course, of all of the different themes throughout. Jose Gaspar's journey mimics my own family's to the United States, and so it was pretty cool to actually you know hash that out.
Oh yeah, I mean half the fun is research, right? And
Right.
you can spend a lot of time doing research and actually not writing.
From your lips to God's ears, yes. That is like honestly like it's terrible because you do so much time. If I was actually fixing a scene today and I'm like, without giving too much away, I was trying to find out like, oh, when did this place open in Florida? And I was like, oh God, here I am getting distracted. Just write it down on paper. What are you doing?
Oh, I completely understand. I was writing my dark romance. It has a lot of trauma, and so I was writing an abuse scene where he's getting physical with her, and so I was like, well, how does this actually work? I'm lucky enough to have never been a domestic violence victim.
Right.
I have some in my universe that I've reached out to. They help me actually blueprint this book and the order of abuse. It doesn't start off with a slap or she'd walk out the door. It's very, very subtle. So anyway, I'm looking
Yeah.
at like, okay, when you slam someone up against the wall, where does it hurt? Where are your contact points? And I was like, oh, I wonder if you have an abrasion. Do you put stuff on there? And then I'm looking at like, abrasion stuff, and then it became Ben Gay, and I was like, and then Ben Gay, when you look that up, brings up non-Ben Gay
Oh,
products. And I was like, oh, I thought I had my safety filter on. I'm like, oh, what's this? What's that? So yeah, that took a like sharp right turn away from my domestic violence scene.
oh my goodness. Oh,
I know, so that happens. But anyway, how long did it take you then to write, edit, and then put that book out there? Because I know everybody always wants to write a book, and that's probably one of the biggest questions we get asked as authors.
oof. So, um, it took me about like because at the time, I worked full time. Now I'm part-time author, part-time work, so I'm making life happen.
Good.
But at the time, it was full time, and it was it took a lot to like, every morning for 1 hour before work, I would like jot down everything. So it took about maybe 2 years to get it on paper.
Okay,
And then
pause right there though. That commitment to do it day in and day out, slow and steady. I mean, that is dedication right there. So I commend you for that, because it's really hard not to just shelve it or put it aside, or this is taking too long, or I don't know if it'll ever come to fruition. I mean, we all do that, but good for you for sticking to it.
yeah, it was it was really difficult. But I got through it, and then I decided initially to try to pitch it to a literary agent, which if you've never done that before, it's lots of fun. Um,
Wink, wink. She means it's a difficult process.
it is a difficult process.
And you'll cry.
I did break down a time or two. I understood the game going in. It wasn't my first time querying, but like I did understand going in. But it's a historical pirate romance, and I understand that literary agents have a job to do as well, and they need to understand. They need to know exactly where to pitch your book.
Sure.
This is it's not an easy one, because at the time, there wasn't a ton of pirate romances. And I don't know if you've noticed lately, but there's a lot of pirate romances that are popping up. And I am just like through the moon. I'm like, my tribe, my people. And I don't know that I'll ever write, historical romance again.
There's a ton of subgenres. I feel like the more accessible that indie publishing becomes, the more niched books are, because you don't have traditionally published houses. I don't know where she went.
I'm here.
Oh, hey.
I'm sorry. You had disappeared off my screen, so I'm trying to make life work.
But you don't have traditional publishers filtering what gets published. And so with the indie market being able to bring that to access to everybody, I think the niches are growing. Like you said, pirate romance, we know billionaires is huge, mafia is huge, military, workplace, finally people of color, and then hockey.
Yeah.
Those subgenres are just exploding right now, and rightfully so. Good, finally.
Yeah, and I would agree with that. Like the thing for me, like that is super important, especially in my writing, is like I'm Puerto Rican. I know sometimes people look at me and they're like, "What are you?" And I'm like, I'm Puerto Rican. I don't know how else to explain it to you. Because I'm not frolicking around looking like J-Lo, even though I wish I did. But
girl, don't we all? Shoot.
But so like I honestly like wanted to bring my culture to everything that I'm doing, including the romantasy that I'm currently putting together now. One of the most unique things about the romantasy is that I have Taino Indian cultures, themes, words, language incorporated into this Fae world that I'm creating. And I'm really proud of that. And like I'm so grateful that I get this opportunity to elevate the indigenous culture of Puerto Rico, so that I can bring it to the forefront, bring it to people so that they understand, and incorporate it in my passion and my love of paranormal and fantasy romance, and of course historical. With this one, of course, there's all kinds of Latin themes, because Jose Gaspar was in fact a Latino, so
Well, I know we are objective in writing romance. It's not always to educate, but I think it can be done when you introduce diverse characters that are rich in their culture. And I mean, to me, I live in Houston, and so we're in international war. There is every kind in every language and every culture and every religion. So to write only one character to me seems just like, that's not even real in life. I don't know where that's real in life.
It's not, and that, you know, I think some of my favorite romance authors, whether it be contemporary or fantasy or whatever, like learn how to use their characters in a way that kind of makes the reader's mind click, you know, like you know, by exposing them to experiences through the eyes of their character that they create and so forth. So you know, it's my style of writing. That's how I love to write. You know, I love building worlds and all that, but I love to have like little trickles of history somewhere woven into all of it, which will become apparent in the next one. It's an Atlantis retelling, so it's kind of cool, like the way I'm kind of meshing all these worlds in together. So
well, and also, it just makes it so much more rich, the detail, you know, bringing in the different cultures.
yeah.
That sister-in-law that I referenced, she is half Sicilian, half Cuban.
Oh,
She speaks Italian and Spanish. And so to hear her, when she actually proofread as a sensitivity reader, one of my books for me to make sure that I got it right. And so she's talking to one of her friends about a section that I got right. And she was like, how do you know about this? I was like, what do you mean how I know about this? You know, like it was only like a Latina thing. And I was like, I don't know. I hear you guys talking about it all the time. And so that's what's so cool is that you can invite readers into a culture that they may not have in their own,
yep.
but they can be invited into.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that that's important. You know, it's when you walk out in the world, you know, you're immediately walking into diversity, generally speaking, depending on where you're at in the United States of America. But so why in the world wouldn't you you know, add diverse characters, you know, to your book and make it, you know, make it rich with, you know, get some flavor, some spice.
Exactly. I love that. Okay, so you referenced the retelling of the book that you're writing. Well, is it completed?
So my alpha readers just got done with it. I have one more that's holding out. So hopefully she'll get it to me tomorrow, I'm hoping. But the two that have completed it, I was really touched by their comments. And they're absolutely amazing. And I'm not just saying that because they're like my besties, but they really are just like my they're the best. They're just amazing. So but they did like it. So they're on here, of course, because they're, like I said, my besties. But yeah, I am really excited. I'm really excited about it because this one is like really near and dear to my heart. I poured my heart and my soul into this thing, so I'm really excited to bring it to readers.
Well, and if it includes your heritage and the research you've done, I mean, how exciting is that? Of course, it's going to be near and dear to your heart.
Yeah, it's subtle. It's going to be subtle. It's not like super like the thing about it is it's not like super I don't want to give too much away, but it's basically just like, you know, using the language and incorporating it into the world. And I hope that it inspires other authors you know, who are minorities to use their culture and heritage in fun and interesting ways that help to, you know, elevate the conversation. So, you know, and of course, you know, throw in the spice.
Well, of course. But it's so funny you mentioned that. I have a friend who she is from Spain, and she is blonde hair, green eyes, and has like a dusting of freckles. And so she's fluent. I mean, you know, because she's from Spain, you know, like it's her native language. Then, I mean, I say that. I mean, they learn English. She said we started learning English in first grade, so they're, you know, she's like trilingual. Anyway, so she speaks Spanish fluently, but she says she gets, you know, people look at her and they think she's Caucasian. And so she's like, I can hear everybody. I understand what everybody's saying, but she had told me what was interesting. And she says, you know, it's when you write, the lighting in Spain, the sunlight, the morning that it comes in, the way it casts in is different than the morning light in Italy. You
Hmm.
have to be from these countries in order to be able to describe it. And I always think that is fascinating. But me in the US, I may not know the morning light. I would think like, okay, when the sun rises and like lights the world, it's all the same.
It's amazing having lived on two different sides of the United States and having been to Spain before, which is a very beautiful country. But you get to understand the sun doesn't always rise at the same exact time on
Oh,
either coast. I feel like like on the Pacific, it rises so early sometimes. I'm like, Lord have mercy. I am not ready. I have not had my morning coffee. You are starting too early on me. But here we
she
are.
was
And it happens.
about how in Spain, I think it's more of a golden hue that it comes up with. And then like in Italy, it's more like a bluish, it would turn your room bluish before. And that's the kind of thing that when you write from your experience or your culture, that's what you kind of in a way educate your readers, but they don't even know it because it's so smoothly woven into your story.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. Yeah, the best writers can do that, like it just the beautiful little touches. I love the touches, like just like trickling in throughout my work is what I like to do. But some really good authors know how to really hone that picture in. But yeah, no, I agree. I mean, I love and encourage, I love to encourage people to go travel the world and see it, like just the beauty of it, get
The
out of your
smell,
space and really take it in,
like the smell of things, right? Like
Yeah,
we can look at, you can do a lot of research and you can watch a zillion YouTube travel channels, right? But some
right.
things are like the climb, like if you're in Italy, there are some cities that are just straight up and you're climbing everywhere. And so, you have to know that your calves are going to be hurting, like your butt aches, and you're like, I don't want to go down the hill because I have to go back up the hill, which is like 100 steps, both ways, right? It's that kind of stuff, or it's like how things smell, and that's not really captured anywhere unless you experience it.
Yeah, no, absolutely. It was so funny. Like yesterday I saw in Oahu in Hawaii, there's the Diamond Head crater. There's a hike, and I'll tell you what, I wanted to cry when my husband made me do this. But yeah, I hiked that thing, and I looked at this picture. I'm like, I can't believe I hiked that. It was really cool. Yeah,
Um,
it's amazing.
so on your retelling, will you tell everybody the title?
I cannot because I haven't revealed it
You
yet.
haven't revealed it? Oh, why
I have
did I
not.
think it was? I thought it was on your wall. On your
It's
IG.
not. I keep calling it the Romanticy because I haven't done the title reveal just yet. Like I'm
No,
slow rolling it out.
yeah, no spoilers on here. How long did it take you to write that, and what is the word count coming in? Because Romanticy tends to be longer, thicker books.
Yeah, she's thick. So I started writing this one a year ago, a little over a year
Okay.
ago. I started writing it. I finished it in November during NaNoWriMo. Um,
Oh,
I know, yes. So I finished it in November, and then I started editing it, and I I edited when I started editing it, it was 120,000 words.
okay.
I am now at 137.
Oh, she
I
is
know.
thick.
So it's a lot. And I that's all addition. Like I just threw all of it down so that I knew I had it from beginning to end. I just wrote, didn't look back. And then
Yeah.
I went back and I started editing, and I have been editing like deep edit. Like this is the deepest edit I think I've done. And this is way deeper than the Legend of Gasparilla. I have taken my time because our lovely editors over on Threads. They were so amazing. They gave the most wonderful like advice. I asked, I said, hey, yay, let's celebrate. I finished my first draft. Any editors out there have any feedback on how to approach this? And Lord, they filled my feed. And
okay, so for those listening here, give us like a couple of tips, one or two that helped you.
Take it slow. Take it slow. Yeah. I think that's
what does that mean?
I dissected every sentence. I literally dissected every sentence. I was like, I'm thinking to myself, am I showing or am I telling? That's the number one thing that I looked in my sentences. And if I felt that the sentence did a little bit more tell than show, I immediately switched it over so that, instead of, she has brown hair and, green eyes, and it's, her brown hair flowed on an errant wind, or, whatever the case may be. I just pulled that one out. I don't know if that's actually in my book, but.
Or amber locks.
Yeah, just, I tried to really kind of take a deep dive into describing that and to describing the world, because unlike the Legend of Gasparilla, where it's a double-edged sword. Yes, the things exist in this world. The world is already built. But you also are writing like in the 17 and 1800s, and you have to know your excrement.
Language, dress, tools.
Oh, that part was nerve-wracking. Honestly, I hated that part. Like, that's why, like, I love to read historical romance. I don't know, I may have like one or two left up my sleeve. I don't know if I'm going to do that anytime soon, though. I'm having too much. The pardon?
The research.
Yeah.
To get it right.
Yeah.
Is daunting.
Years it took me to build that research. Yeah. I don't think people sometimes can appreciate what goes into these things, and sometimes, that's why mine leans a little bit more historical fiction, because I could not let the people of Tampa Bay down. I did not want to do that. And I wanted to make sure to get the facts right and not just throw it out on paper. And of course, there's a lot of pressure to get it right.
Oh yeah.
There's a lot of history buffs in historical romance. And they love their details, and they expect that. And I understand that. And so that's why I say I'm having so much fun. Like, I was telling my besties, I was like, I am having the most fun building my own damn world.
Yep. It's so much easier. And I say that, but I have yet to do a world building of my own. I do have a paranormal romance that's sitting in the vault collecting dust.
Do it!
Okay, I tell everybody I know that, because a few people know about it. They're like, when are you coming out with it? And I said, when I'm a better writer. That's it. That's my story. I was like, when I'm a better writer. So.
Oh, I get it. I always say get it down, put it down. If the idea is there and it's pushing, I kind of feel like that's divine intervention telling you to get that thing down on paper. I already have like a vampire romance series that's like right back here. It's like deep, 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 and it's like wanting to come forth. Yeah. And I'm like, all right, vampire romance, you're gonna need to chill out for a second, because I'm my Bay Bay era, and I need to get this done.
Well,
meanwhile, I'm coming up with all.
I have 4 books written in it, so it's 3 from her point of view. The 4th one is his point of view, so it's all written. But well, okay, like you said, show don't tell. And rewriting a novel is brutal, right? Because you've been through it with your first book, and so what you use for romantasy or high fantasy is so much more colorful. It's far more descriptive. You have to say like her skirts whispered across the creaky floorboards. You know what I mean?
I do. And I see that's why this has taken me so long. It took me 2 months, 2.5 months, 2.5 months. It took me to edit this, because I started thinking to myself, what material is her skirt?
Yes.
What material?
We know taffeta is loud, silk is quiet.
Right. exactly. Like I just started to get a little bit more like in the shoes of the character, and you know, I felt like this one means like super super much to me, but I literally took my time, you know. They say like your first draft is going to be filled of like shrugs and nods and brows reaching
Die.
and all kinds. Right. And like, you know, that's to be expected. Then you go back and you fix those little things, little character things, you know, and really, you know, figure out how to bring it forth, you know. And paint the picture. I think is that that's kind of like the thing that I'm learning more, like as a writer, as I keep on developing, is like, you know, how do I paint the picture for the reader instead of just telling them, you know, like, and I've always been like I've always had a thing with showing and not telling, so that's originally in there, but I think naturally when you're writing a first draft, you're telling all over the place. It's just blah 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 blah, right? This
You,
big tell sandwich.
you are, because you're trying to just get the idea out as fast as possible. And then when you do that read through, you're like, oh, how did that get
Yep.
by me? Or how did I miss that? Or pacing, or plot hole, or big gap, or
Or what the
yeah.
frick was I trying to say? Like, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Then you come across those sentences, you're like, what was I meaning by that? It's a bunch of words in a row.
Yeah, and it is a lot to decompress and to understand like how to really, because I don't know, I think when you edit your first draft, that's when your book comes alive. That's
Yeah.
I think the biggest mistake any writer can make is getting a first draft down on paper and either doing one of two things, sending it to directly to the editor. God bless them. They're probably like, what in the world? Um, or just like not like thoroughly taking your time to do it. I think that's the thing, the lesson that I've learned is take your time, you know, because readers, they know what they love and they know what they don't love. And they know what they're attracted to and all the things, you know, and you see it all over Bookstagram every single day. You know, I mean, God bless them. I love my Bookstagrammers. You know, they are near and dear to my heart, and they're precise. They're gonna let you know, like, hey,
Oh, yeah.
wasn't feeling it with the characters or what. You know, you got to take those things to heart, and then you study. Like, there's
Hey,
humble. There's,
that's the best compliment, when they're like, oh my God, I hate her characters. Like, they literally do.
yes.
They hate them like they're real people. And you're like,
Hmm.
yes, I
I know.
nailed it. Because they're not saying, hey, her narrative went on too long, or there's too much dialogue, or there's not enough description, too much setting. You know, it's all that. When they really hate your person, like it is a person, you're like, I nailed it. Thank
Yeah,
you.
I'm yes, yes, right. It's like when us authors love to get like really excited about dishing out a good cliffhanger. We like to see them suffer.
Okay, I was thinking about that today on my walk. You know, with the story I'm in, I was like, okay, well, she's going to be, you know, we have the sequence of abuse kind of blueprinted out, and I'm like, what more can I throw at her? And then she has this little dog. I'm like, do I include the dog in the abuse cycle? But I'm like, okay, I'm not that evil. Maybe
Yeah, no,
the hint
it's
of the threat.
awesome.
But yeah, we have to, like, you know, keep ratcheting it up. I've been listening to that Dan Brown on Masterclass,
Mm,
and
mm-hmm,
like Dan Brown, oh my gosh, he's like
mm-hmm.
phenomenal. His books, you want to talk about world
Yeah,
building and
yeah,
showing, and it's their masterpiece. There's no doubt about it.
yeah.
I'm reading his book Origin right now, and he references that a lot in Masterclass. So you're kind of getting like, how does he make the secret sauce? And then you're reading the secret sauce, right?
That's pretty cool.
And yeah, and so he does an amazing job with that. And so his books are like something I need to reference. I'm like, that's what I want to get, more like him, which is not really romance. You know, he's obviously suspense and thriller, but his descriptions are just out of this world.
Yeah, I mean, I get that romance is supposed to be like, you know, centered around a couple, or in a Why Choose Romance, a few. But like, you know, I think it's lost on so many people who don't read romance that all of our books have the same elements as mysteries and thrillers and suspense. And we've got all of that in our genres too.
Well, but you do hear from writing coaches, or kind of like the high names in the romance, you know, don't write a whole lot of description and keep your sentences short. They really get into like writing craft, you know,
Yeah.
and if you can use the word and, don't, you know, put a period and start a new sentence. But when you read fantasy, fantasy does this, you know, there's commas, 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 and commas. When you read suspense or thriller, they are very verbose, but I feel like some of the rules of romance, they want them to be short and snippy and clippy and, you know, not that much. And you're like, how of a sudden do they get from that room to that room, but it's implied, you don't need to say it. And I'm just like, and that's pretty popular with some of these really high name authors. And I'm just like, I can't write that way.
And you shouldn't, because it really pertains to what, if I look at my genre, the fantasy fiction or fantasy romance genre, right? And I'm looking at Sarah J. Maas, Jennifer Lynn,
the queen.
Yeah, the queen, the queen.
I love her,
JLA,
but she is phenomenal too.
Who is? I'm sorry?
Sarah. She's phenomenal.
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
But I do have one criticism of her that goes highly controversial. I don't read her every day, you know, because I'm too busy with my own writing and deadlines and, you know, living life. And so she names inanimate objects, you know, like this will be like Curse Breaker. Well, I'm thinking Curse Breaker is one of her 87 names. You know how each of her main characters has like 87 nicknames by all these different people when they do stuff. So I don't know, Curse Breakers like the dagger or the sword, or, you know, Caspian's whatever.
That's interesting.
So
I don't know, I've never noticed that before, right? I guess I'm a huge fan of hers.
I love her stuff, but stop with the A names. No more A names. No more A names. So there's a million A names, and I can't keep them all straight. And then I can't always keep all her nicknames for everybody straight. And then when she names inanimate objects names, proper names, I'm like, whew. That's my
That's a lot of the fantasy genre. A ton of them have like that shtick of naming things. I'm also guilty of that. So
like, if they're going to be an inanimate object, they need to all start with like Z.
Yeah, no, what I was gonna say is that, you know, when you read like Sarah J. Maas, Jennifer L. Armentrout, or sorry, I'm drawing a blank, Rebecca Yarros, and like you read their work, there's a couple of things. Number one, you're right, they do write in longer sentences.
Yep.
But that's because it's so classic, like world building. So I don't know. For me, it's like, let me study who is a bestseller, right? If I'm studying their book and this is what they are doing and people are buying their book and they are wildly successful, why in the world would I ever try to write something, you know, different? You know, like for instance, the point number 2, third person and first person, right?
Yeah.
You know, a lot of romance writers, they write in first person, and a lot of readers love to read in first person. Why in the world would you then write in third? So I switched my entire manuscript for this romantasy from third to first, because the Legend of Gasparilla is in third. Actually, 2 ARC readers were like, "No, I'm good, thank you. I don't do third person." I'm like, oh, okay.
Oopsie.
You know, you can't, like I said, you can't please everybody. You're not a taco, so you know.
I think because I am a first person writer, and I'm a very deep, but the reason why is because I want I want my readers to struggle. I want them to be her, feel her, your back's against the wall. Do we do something against that little dog? What if we
Yep.
do? How are you going to feel? You know, and so I feel like there's an intimacy, but then
Yes.
as an author, you're limited, and then your readers are limited. They don't get the Sarah experience where you get to see everything because it's in third person.
Yeah, I mean that's kind of what the communication to me was when I mean I love to hear feedback from readers and from bookstagrammers and who are actually, giving their like, 2 cents or like, yeah,
Yeah.
I love first. I really don't dig third. I'm like, cool, good to know, So I was like, yeah, I'm just gonna, because I originally wrote in first person. I switched to third because in literary circles, they love to say like or look down upon first person. It's like the devil. I'm like, all right, listen, we're dancing over here, so whatever. I don't know.
But I think first has really broken through. Indie authors have broken the barrier on first.
Yes.
And I feel like there's more readers that will pick up an indie and try an indie because they know the experience will be different than a trad pub builder, trad pub romance author. Ugh.
Yeah. No, I mean, but a lot of trad romance authors are writing in first.
Yeah.
I mean, they can show their chops and write in third if they wanted to, but they're writing in first. I mean, I think that that's the brilliance of it. I mean, SJM Crescent City number 3 was written in third person, but she writes Akatar in first. I mean, I think any well-rounded author should try both. There's an art to it. Third person is really difficult sometimes to kind of get those nuances across, but there's a finesse to it.
Well, she does it really well, but I think, we've also had that, like, don't say, one of the things I think I like about her is she uses descriptive dialogue tags.
Mm-hmm.
And,
Yes.
that is apparently the kiss of death. And you're just supposed to say, or said.
Oh, who told you? Who lied to you?
You hear that everywhere. I mean, editors will be like, look, don't, if you're going to use dialogue tag, don't use, he chied or growled or, any of that. They're like, you should use said, or do an action beat. And so that is, yeah, I feel like there's a lot.
I literally have like a whole thing of like dialogue tags, like just chilling here on my desk. 'Cause I just, because you're supposed to, I mean, granted, you shouldn't, do it all the time, and switch it up. But I mean, like, come on.
We need your list of dialogue tags.
I'll send it to you. I mean, it's on Pinterest, and Pinterest is the plethora of information. But yeah, I have all kinds of writing tools that I rely on for all kinds of things. It goes back to the editing idea of editing. That first draft edit is really when you start writing, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Like you just take your time and dissect every sentence and roll through. And some authors are pumping out books like real fast, and gosh, I applaud them. I applaud them because man, they can really pump out some books. But I am just, and maybe it's just like the perfectionist in me, or that I'm scared, pardon my French, but I'm scared shitless, that it's going to sound terrible, that I'm like, all right, I'm going to take my time. I don't know. I have a little bit of PTSD, from the first book. I won't get into it, but it's just like, I'm like, okay, yeah, we're just gonna take our time. And so we do.
That's the beauty of it. Everybody has their own process. It's authentic to them.
Yeah.
And we take our hits as authors, whether it's the first book that you get some brutal reviews or if it's your 7th book that you get them, they're going to come anyway, right? I mean, we all have our always buys. And then when you buy a book and you read it, you're like, even if it's your favorite author, some stories just don't hit, they don't resonate.
1000%. That's why I always say, like, it's just, it's subjective. You can't take it personal. And then you just, like, grab grab a GG and jump on a IG live with a glass of wine and get over it, right?
Yeah, let's go. So when is your book? Okay, when is your book release date then?
So it's probably going to be in July. I would June or July is what I'm aiming for. I would encourage everyone to follow my page and stay tuned for details. I know it's a little bit of a slow roll. I'm being very like secretive in the rollout, but you know, I'm interested to see where this one is going with some more, because after this it's the editor, then it goes back to beta readers, and then more edits, and then and then my ARC team. So the ARC team signups are coming up soon. So that's I can at least give that, and then of course the title reveal and all the fun things. For me, it's a little bit of a slow rollout. Again, I have PTSD from the first one, so I think I'm kind of I'm just like, oh, okay. Never know.
I
Yeah.
completely understand. So I have had a brutal experience. And so, you know, you kind of like, you cry and you get upset. And then you're like, okay, let me pick up the pieces and figure out what the lesson learned is and then go forward. So I have one series that I completely, and when I tell you completely, revamped everything. The beat
Oh,
sheet,
wow.
word count. I went from single to dual POV, changed my writing style. I mean, I literally revamped. I was like, okay, let me, you know, like obviously the universe is trying to tell me something. Let me learn from this. So
It happens, but I think the most important thing is that you learn, you know. Um, you know, you can't we don't have all the answers, I guess, you know.
and some of them you just don't know, right? You have to, like, there's that old saying, you don't need to see the whole staircase, you just need to see the first step or two. And there's such
Right.
truth in that, because once you're down that path, things are revealed around the curve, around the corner, and you can't foresee them until you're on the path. And then also, what are you going to do with it? There's a word in Latin or Hebrew, it's kairos, right? It's the intersection about finding out, what are you going to do with it? Now that you know, what are you going to do with it? So it's like a kairos moment when you have this, you know, opening this vision, you know, divine download, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
And so to me, that's why us authors, it's a journey, right? You have your debut novel, your writing craft will get better, you'll learn, there'll be different ideas you want to try. Maybe the ideas didn't even occur to you in year 2, but in year 4, you're like, oh my gosh. Yep. It revolutionizes what you do and how you do it.
Yeah, I 1000% agree. I love all of that. That is like a beautiful way to put it, you know, like, yeah. And yeah, here we are trying to make it through again.
Exactly.
For masochists.
Oh yeah. You know, I had an author in the very beginning. She said, it's not about publishing the book, it's the journey that you're on. And I was like, that's the dumbest thing I've ever heard. Of course it's about publishing the book. Everybody wants to publish a book. It's on everyone's bucket list before they die. I want to publish a book, right? But now, you know, after being in it for a bit, I was like, oh, I totally get it. You have to love the process, because it is such a long ramp up. It's so long to be, you know, found, your reach, your book spot, etc.
It is. I don't know how I feel so bad for my besties, because I've been telling them about all these book ideas. They must hate me.
Heck no.
No, they love me, I'm sure. But I like honestly have just been like, oh my God, you'll never believe what happened. I mean, I tease the hell out of them for months with this thing. I'm like, oh, you guys, I just wrote this scene and I'm crying and I can't wait for you to read. And they're like, stop teasing.
That's so awesome.
Stop teasing me. I'm like, it's so good though. Oh my God, I can't wait.
Okay, so for those listening that want to be able to assemble a team, how did you do it? How did you find alphas and betas and your arcs and your editors, the team to support you?
Oh God. So my alpha readers are two of how I met them is there's my sorority sisters.
Cute.
Yeah, I'm like there's some okay, Sex in the City reference. Like I am like the Samantha and like the older one of the group. I'm aging myself, of course.
The racy one. Mm.
And
Oh, wait, no,
and they're
that
like
wasn't Samantha. Wait, is it Samantha the blonde?
no, yeah,
Charlotte.
it's got like the kind of the blonde, but she's the older one of the group,
She's
and
the
so I kind
black
of like, like I'm like that's me. But anyway, yeah, so we love it's so funny because I just posted on my Facebook one day. I'm like, when I first read A Court of Thorns and Roses, I'm like, everyone, Britt's like, I'm Carrie, RNI. I'm gonna let you and Meg fight over that one, Britt. I'm not getting involved.
Plead the fifth.
Anyway, so I posted a Court of Thorns and Roses on my feed in Facebook, and they jumped on me. Like, oh my God, I loved it. And I'm like, we should start a book club. And so we started a book club. And then from there, like I briefly learned like, to go, or they helped me to work up the courage to write independently. And so I did. Or to write, period, right? They've been there, they have been my coaches like the whole entire time. They're like amazing. So I really I'm not gonna part with them. If there's any authors on this, I'm not parting with them. No,
You're like mine.
No, I'm just kidding. Not really, I'm just kidding. But they are like my amazing alpha readers, but I also found beta readers within my own ARC group. I put out in an email, I said, since you guys, took a chance on me, read the Legend of Gasparilla, I have, my Romantasy coming up, and I'm looking for beta readers, one or two beta readers, if you're interested, fill out this form. And there were a couple of beta readers who were interested from the group. And so that's how I found them. But there's also Facebook groups of nothing but like alpha, beta, and ARC readers. They're just there. And Fiverr. I went to Fiverr to get my alpha reader because I want quality feedback. I want to ensure that the feedback is coming back,
Oh, yeah.
And so there's quite a few alpha and beta readers on Fiverr.
Interesting. I love Fiverr, but I did not know reader alphas. Well, I didn't know readers were there.
Yeah, you got critique partners. If you're going the traditional route, you can get your query letter evaluated and your synopsis evaluated. There's a whole plethora of stuff. I offer services to authors who are looking to get traditionally published to get a query list together of literary agents looking for that specific genre.
Oh, you offer that?
Yeah, it's a link in my bio. So. If anybody's querying for trad pub, I can help get a list together, with a list of agents looking for that particular genre. So,
oh my gosh, that's amazing, Steph. I did not know that.
Yeah.
So I have a couple people who are in the process now, so I can always send them your way.
Yeah, please do. Link in bio.
And so then, is that where you also found your editor was on Fiverr?
No, I found my editor for this book. I found my editor on Instagram. Believe it or not, just making connections through follow trains and, of course, with the feed, like I just saw her prices pop up and I was like, oh, okay, good. Let's try you. And so I did a sample edit. Her name's Ramona. And I can't remember her handle. Oh God, I'm awful. And so she's gonna edit this one. God bless her. So it's kind of fun.
Is
Gotta
she
love
your developmental editor, or is she your copy/line editor?
Copy. And the reason why copy and line, and the reason why I do that is because if you have some awesome alpha readers, they really, Lord have mercy, they pick your book apart.
Yes.
They really do, and they take the time. If you can find some good ones, keep them, you know, because they in essence are doing what your developmental editor can do, although developmental editors, not to dog them at all, because they have a purpose too. If you can afford the developmental editor, by all means, you know, and do it. But you know, sometimes if you have an alpha reader who reads in your genre and they read in your genre a lot, more than likely they're going to be able to pick out, you know, pacing, if, you know, there's enough world building, if there's enough connection to the characters, you know, all of those things. So, you know, that's kind of why I was just like, all right, well, you know, I think I'm going to be okay without one. Yeah. So that's my story.
No, I totally agree. I have similar, I do have a developmental editor, and then I do have my alphas. And so I kind of use mine a little bit differently
Mhm.
than yours, because when I want to, you know, deconstruct my career and start over, I reached out to one of my alphas. I'm like, hey, will you help me? And so she kind of converted into my developmental editor. But my alphas are my brainstorming team now. And so I know, and so they help me blueprint the reviews, or they'll come up with ideas about, hey, we want, you know, the best friend's brother, we want this. And so I don't know if that helps you, but with your besties, but I love the idea sharing, because you're right. Like, we're too busy writing our books. Reading is so difficult. I mean, I read for pleasure at night before bed,
Same.
but I can't read 100 books like some of these people are doing.
I could. I did before I started like really, really honing in
Oh,
the first book, The Legend of Gasparilla. I think I hit like 110 or 120 one year.
oh
Last
my
year I hit
God,
like,
girl.
yeah, I love reading. Give me all the books.
I
Um,
do too, but I just, you know, life and kids and life
oh
and
yeah. Yeah.
life.
I have the advantage, and I'd say advantage yet disadvantage, that I don't have kids. So, you know, like my time is I have fur puppies. I have two wiener pups.
Girl,
But
you soak in that time, because, you know, the kids come. Guess who's last? The
no,
deadest
no, we did.
of last in that, you know?
Yeah, no, we did. We tried to concede. We were unsuccessful, which is fine. We have made peace with that, and so that's another thing I love to write in, or a trope in my books, is, you know, really helping people understand through my characters that you don't always have to have a baby to have a happy ending. And I
Love
think that,
that.
yeah. Um, you know, and I think that that will be what I do moving forward very subtly, because, you know, you know, that it's actually one trope I haven't quite been able to read. I love, oh, Priest by Sierra Simone.
Mhm.
I haven't been able to read her Midnight Mass because it's a big infertility trope. And I was like, yeah, you know, I think I'm good.
No, but
I've lived
Stephanie,
that.
one, I'm sorry that, you know, that is part of your journey in life,
Yeah.
but I know that that is a common journey shared amongst many people.
That
And
we don't talk about.
well, and we don't. And I have content warnings. I have a dark series, and then I have a contemporary romance series. The dark series has every trigger known to man.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah.
and yeah, you know, and that's to me why we write dark. And then my contemporary doesn't have any triggers. It's, you know, it's literally called the Cougars and Cubs series.
I love that.
So, girl, you know, there's no triggers. There's just, you know, times in that one. Um, but the surprise pregnancy, or the pregnancy difficulties, or the IBS, one, I don't write. I don't have any experience with that, so I don't feel like I'm qualified to write
Yeah.
that. But what I do get, and I really appreciate this, and I always encourage readers to DM me, because they will ask, is there any sort of writing around that topic, whether it be surprise pregnancies, infertility, anything like that. And so I appreciate readers, reaching out and asking me ahead of time so they don't go in blind. And I'm sensitive to that. There's a fair amount of authors that I know that have had IVF issues. They've tried IVF, it hasn't worked. And so they're like, I don't want to write it, I don't want to read it.
Yep. I 1,000% get it.
Yeah, it's too close to home. And, I did not know until readers reached out to me that was a trigger. And so now I'm very cognizant that if I even get close to it, I'll put it on my list.
Well, yeah, because the point of the matter is too, like, I think the pregnancy trope also kind of puts a false notion out there that it's easy to get pregnant, that, oops, I slipped and fell on a dick and now I'm pregnant. Like, just sorry, I'm a little crass sometimes. Anyway, but like,
everyone's journey is so different, because you see it all the time. It's that that teenager that gets pregnant because, like, hello, they're all raging hormones and young and all that,
Well, yeah, I mean,
so you see that kind of being glorified in tropes.
Yeah.
But on the flip side, there's many more people that don't have that experience.
Right.
And so, to have a sensitivity to that is, to me, important. I don't want any of my works to be triggering for any of that. I got kind of close when someone reached out and I said, well, I do have an exploited minor. I said, and so pretty bad. I said, so we're getting kind of close. It's definitely not, surprise baby or infertility, but there are some topics that get a little close. And so I try to, send my list of triggers over and have that conversation.
Can I ask you, now I'm asking you questions, what your opinion was about this recent thing then? Because I know that as a dark romance author, that's got to be kind of difficult to go and dive into those tropes with this looming we're gonna ban your book bullshit that's going on. Like, how do you, where's the fine line in that?
And I do have a post up regarding that, because I don't know how we are where we at within, I know specifically like the US, but it also happens, globally. Yeah. We are so divided. Any way we can figure out to divide ourselves, you and I, Caucasian, Puerto Rican, blonde, brown, we just come up with all these different ways to separate ourselves.
Yeah.
And then at the same time, we're like, well, don't label me and don't tell me how to live and don't make laws. And you're thinking, like, which is it? Do we want to live separate? And I'm just like, my God, at the end of the day, we're humans. We're like humankind. And it's so old-fashioned. I was raised like, do unto others as you want to do unto you. I am in Houston. Like I told you, if you guys don't know anything about Houston, we are as diverse as it gets, next to fourth largest city. Chicago's diverse, LA, New York, us. So
yeah.
I have never, to me, it dovetails into that. If you don't want to read it, don't read it. But you can't ban it and then outlaw it and then put some, government laws around it or this cancel culture. You can't do that, because the very person that sits and wants banned books does not want the same judgment in return. And
yeah,
to me, at the end of the day, there's all sorts of writing. I mean, we're banning books that talk about Christ. On the flip side, we're banning, the discussion about LGBTQ kids. It's just like we have figured out ways to divide and slice the pie. And I'm like, my God, we all are humankinds. We all have dreams. We all want to live in abundance. We all want better for our kids and for ourselves. We all want to be happy, healthy. I mean, those are universal, regardless of your beliefs. The only thing that we have in common is we're all going to die. And none of us really knows what happens after that. We don't know if we ascend, we come back. That Hindus believe that, our soul will continue to reincarnate. I mean, no one knows. But to me, I'm like, we are humankind.
Well, I'm still trying to figure out if maybe there's the existence of a vampire somewhere so that they can come over and then I can live forever.
Or Vikings when it's Valhalla and you get to go just like I think they get to like have sex and drink, party. Valhalla.
I love it.
But I don't know. I get so I just don't understand. I'm like, at the end of the day, I said, my gosh, just do unto people the way you want to be treated.
It's true.
Being accepted and loved and cared for, basic human function, like basic human need.
It is. It is. That's why I had to ask you that question because you are writing dark romance, and I was like, okay, because I know that there's quite a few authors in our circle that are just like, okay, I got banned. I'm like, well, this is bull excrement. Um,
Yeah.
like, people have this kind of energy. Like, what are we doing? But
I feel like the people that do it maybe don't, and I'm making generalizations here that I probably shouldn't make, but I always think in my mind, who is the person behind that keyboard, the cyber cowboy? And I have to imagine it's someone that doesn't have power in their own daily life. Because if you had empowerment in your own daily life, lived on your own terms, worked at the work that filled you, would you be getting on at night and being a cyber cowboy? No, you wouldn't.
that's a very interesting way of putting it.
You'd be too busy living your life, nurturing yourself, enjoying your family, having a good time, laughing. You'd be like Valhalla all over the place, right?
Yeah, I
If you're sitting to be a cyber cowboy and tearing other people down, then there's some really unhappiness of existing in your world. Maybe it's not within your control. I don't know, but
I I honestly love the answer for that. I know we'll never get it, but what can you do? What can you do? Yeah.
I try to give more grace as I've gotten older because I feel like one, no one gives it, two, no one receives it, and three, the world's a better place with it.
Yeah, but kind of like wanting to support other authors and other indie authors on their journey and making sure that someone's signing up an ARC team. Sometimes I just like re-up it and share it, just to help, I mean, we're all in this together, in my opinion.
That's the exact reason why I have these lives. One, I get to meet great people such as you. But I also want to support indie authors. It's hard out there. This is not easy.
No.
Yeah, it takes nearly forever. It takes everything in your being to be successful. So if I can provide a platform, I'm more than happy.
Yeah.
Yeah, to me, I know this is a saying I always say, it's so cheesy, but we rise with the tide.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's so simple.
Yeah, no, I 1,000% agree. I'm all about it because it's just, it's better to help people because that's good karma. Like, you don't want the bad stuff. 'Cause karma comes around to bite you in the culo, as we say. So, better to help.
Oh, for sure. At my age, I just don't have the bandwidth. I don't have the patience. I don't have the energy. Like I
Yeah,
just don't participate in a lot of those discussions just because I feel like I'm not put on earth for that purpose.
yeah,
I'm put on earth to spread joy and happiness. And if my books can bring, escapism or entertainment or, if I can make friends along the way, spread the love, that's what it's about.
yeah, that's so true. That's so true. And it's been interesting. It's been really, I mean, obviously on Bookstagram, we have so many indie authors. A majority of them have been super supportive. And I know for sure a lot of the Bookstagrammers have been super supportive too. I like absolutely love the community. So it's been cool. I'm like, oh, okay, I found my people, I found my tribe.
That's
Like
Yeah, very loyal. And so, we build each other up. And yeah, it's nice to have a community where you can belong because I feel like some people, or some of the posts I see, they don't have that in the regular world, or they don't have a supportive spouse, or they don't have a supportive family if they're not married. And so someone's cheering them down. I think, my God, Like the
Yeah.
world will tear you down. That does not need to happen within your own household.
No, it doesn't. It doesn't. I think that that's kind of, the blessing of like this world is like, everyone is super cool, super supportive in this space, and it's a lot different from corporate America. Like corporate America, they're out for blood sometimes.
Girl, I had 30 years of corporate America. I left at the top, but I tell you, for 10 years I had to work with my nemesis. And did I want to like take the cutlery and burn it into a shank? Every day. Every day.
Oh, I feel
So I
that.
survived the corporate America grind. I will never go back. My joke has always been to my friends, I was like, I will turn tricks on the street before I go back. See that? That's a little dark that's in me.
I love it. I love it. Give me all of it.
I know we've gone past our time. Do you have a few more minutes for rapid fire questions?
Sure. Yeah.
They're super high pressure. Okay. Are you a paperback reader or an e-reader?
Ooh. Um, ugh. I would love to be a paperback reader, but I got to invest in marketing, so I'm an e-reader, but that's my answer.
Oh, we didn't even talk about marketing. Plotting or
You feel me
pantsing?
though, right?
I know, exactly. Plotting or pantsing?
Plotting.
Oh, okay. We're gonna have to have a part two, like we're gonna have to do this again when your book is, well, what did you say, June? Maybe
Yes,
July?
I would love to. Oh my God, anytime. Remember that next time we can even do it with a glass of wine. It'd be so much fun.
Girl, you could have brought out a glass of wine. I had an author. I'm gonna tell you, she's so cool. She writes, I'm gonna get this wrong because I totally messed up her intro. It's urban fiction and dark fantasy romance.
Huh,
And, and
interesting.
yeah, she came on and she had these, it was all black, all blacked out, and she had these fox ears that glow. And I was like,
Nice. I
oh,
love it.
on brand, bring it. And so
Ooh,
she's smoking or like vaping. She was vaping. And so I was like, this is the baddest ass chick ever.
I love it. I
And
love it.
you can bring
Awesome.
on your, and then I had another bookstagrammer. I don't know if you remember Book Talk. Geez, when we all were in COVID. I don't know if it was 2020 or 2021, but the romance authors on Book Talk were wearing crowns. You had your like, so when you would do a live like this, you'd wear your crown.
So, yeah. So, for a very big confession, this is my very first IG live. So, thank you for popping my cherry. Um,
Oh my gosh, that is awesome.
um, but yeah, no, I am not a book talker, a live book talker person, because I just am so scared I'm going to say or do something wrong. So I definitely videotape ahead of time. And I rarely put my face on.
You're so
Because
pretty.
I'm
Why
scared.
not?
I don't know. I'm so scared.
You're
Oh.
silly. Well, we're doing this again for sure.
Yes.
And you can bring your wine, or you can vape, or you can have like her beautiful foxy, or you can have a crown.
Yeah. Yeah. I will. Maybe I'll get the crown next time. We'll see.
Well, I loved it because her character, um, so she was I don't want to say a demon hunter because that's not right, but she would drag souls down like a hell hunter. I mean, her
It's so
series is so,
cool.
I know. And so her character wears is a fox and wears these fox ears. And I was like, this chick is next level badass.
I love
And
it. I
so
love all of that.
I know, right? And so you can pick something out from your book when you debut it, and then you can wear it, and you can tell us about it.
I I may have something up my
Ooh.
sleeve, in fact, that I will send you for the next one, and then we can both wear it and
Oh,
match.
let's go. Ooh, I'm so excited already. Okay. Where am I at? Rapid fire. Okay, so first person or third person, you said you write in both.
Yes.
Are you plot driven or character driven?
Ooh, child. Uh, Um, ooh, character driven, I think.
Like,
But also I love a good, I mean, what? No, maybe, can I say both?
of course you can. You can say whatever you want.
I'm meticulous. I gotta have both.
Do you write alone, write with a partner, or writing sprints?
Alone, I have tried sprints. My writers in the writing cave writers group, they have pushed me into the sprints. They have introduced the sprints.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know that I'm a sprinter because I'm like, this is crazy. So yeah, alone. I'm a
Alone.
solo.
You're like,
Run solo.
alone. Outline or discovery writer?
Outline.
Good for you. Outline is brutal. I tried it and it's like,
I mean, Scrivener makes it easy. I mean, and then I guess I kind of like, it's kind of like pantsing or plotting, like that same question. Like I plot, but then like little things happen in between. So it's kind of fun.
oh yeah, that's the magic.
Mm-hmm.
Do you write in silence or with music?
Meditation music.
No way.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah, I
so
write.
is that the guided or is that like the hertz, the certain hertz frequency?
So there's a meditation station on Amazon Music, and I just plop it on, and I just take a beat. I also write sometimes if I need something a little bit more upbeat, instrumental chill music.
Okay,
Instrumental chill electronic music. And I put that on if I need like a little bit more of a beat. If I'm trying to like feel, I know this is a winded explanation. You're like rapid fire, like you're like rapid fire, Stephanie. We said rapid. But modern folk. I love modern folk. So I put that station on too. So yeah.
modern folk music.
I love modern folk. Yep. Love
And this
it.
is on Amazon?
It is. It's on Amazon Music. If you have a Prime membership, it's like included in your Prime membership. You can get all these stations. I don't know if people know this.
I know, and I've had Prime forever. I feel like everyone has been on Prime at one point or another. So
Right?
that's
I live off Prime, simply.
Yeah. If they can bring it to my door and I don't have to leave my house, oh, girl, winning.
Yes, I agree. I'm right with you.
Writing with the deadline or at your own pace?
Now, deadline.
Oh.
Now that we're in it to win it, we're deadline.
Oh, that's hard.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Series or standalones?
Series. Now we're doing series because we did the standalone and I'm like, but there was so much more I could have done. No, series.
Historical setting, present day, or future?
Ooh. Neither of those options, because fantasy, I can just do whatever.
I can do what I want.
Yeah.
Oh, this has been so much fun with you. And I swear, this hour and a half has gone by so fast. We haven't even
It has.
I know, right? We haven't even scratched the surface of it.
Thank you so much for inviting me. I really appreciate it.
Oh my gosh, I've had the best time. And so I'm going to follow up with you. We'll book something whenever you want, whether your book is coming out, already released, whatever you decide. And then we will do this again. But in the meantime, I will be in your DMs and supporting you.
Yay, and I will support you too. I'm so excited. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Steph. You've been such a doll. It's so nice to meet you.
Pleasure to meet you as well. You have a great evening.
Ciao for now.
Bye.